Hi guys, happy Monday. Miss Owens here. It's your favorite assignment. Today you're going to fill in some vocab and some derivatives. This is chapter 2 of our current story, Minerva and Arachne. And with this vocab list, it's going to be filled in the same way it was last time. I've given you the Latin word here on your form and the gender if it's a noun. I want you to give me a definition or meaning and a derivative, which is an English word that comes from the Latin word. There is no derivative. I've gone ahead and blacked out that box for you so you don't have to worry about it, okay? Wonderful. Let's get started. All right. Our first word is domina. Domina. It's feminine, and it means a mistress or a lady of the house. Mistress here is something like somebody who's in charge. It's a term that in our language has come to mean a few things that indicate this kind of mastery, right? Words like dominion, domination, or to dominate. But the root of the word is really domus, which means house, because this is the female master of the house, the lady of the house. Our second word, dominus. You're going to notice that US ending is like domina, but with a different ending, and that means it's masculine. Here, it's the male equivalent of the word domina. It's the master or the lord of the house, the guy in charge. And those derivatives are the exact same: dominion, domination, and dominate. Notice you can always pause this video, so if I'm going a little bit too fast for you, we've got about 30-ish words to get through. Feel free to pause at any time, okay? All right, number 3, experienta. Experienta. And you can see that this ends with an A, and that tells me that it's feminine. It means experience, and that's going to be one of our derivatives as well. Also, the word experiment comes from these forms, the related group of words that experienta comes from. And an experiment is when you find a truth through experiencing things. You try things out until you have the truth. All right, number 4, femina is feminine, and it means woman. All of these are very closely related in English, right? Feminine and female are two words that come from femina. The word woman is actually from German, weirdly. That's English. It's core words, our most basic words, the ones we use most often, are from a German origin, including woman. All right, number 5, forma. Again, it ends in an A, meaning it's feminine. Forma means shape or form. You might remember that we had the vocab word last time, formare, format, which means to make a shape or to make a form. And so this is just the noun version of that. It is the thing. And lots of words come from this. Words like form, obviously, but also to deform something means to twist it out of shape. To conform means to get into the right shape. And something that's formal takes a very regular shape. Like if you're in a formal outfit, it means the expectation is that you're going to fit the idea of what that outfit should be exactly. You're not going to be able to play around too much. All right, number 6, nomen. Nomen. And this is neuter. We haven't encountered many neuter words yet, but neuter is actually a Latin word itself that means neither. So some words in Latin we know are masculine and some are feminine. That has nothing to do with necessarily the gender of, let's say it like this. The Romans didn't think that the word shape was inherently feminine, right? That's the pattern that it follows. Neuter is a word that means neither. So it's not masculine, it's not feminine, it's neither. And the word nomen means name. You might recognize it being at the top of all of your papers. It's something I ask you for on every paper. Your nomen. And some words in English that come from nomen are nominate. That's when you put someone's name up for someone, for something, for an office. A misnomer is a wrong name. And anonymous. Anonymous is when you go without a name. You have no name. That word anonymous is spelled a little bit differently because it comes through Greek, but it's really the same word at heart, nomen. All right, number 7, superbia. We had superbus, superba on our last list, which meant someone, descriptor, an adjective, someone who is proud. And so this is the noun form, the thing, the person, place, or thing. And it means pride. And just like superbus and superba, superb is a fine derivative for this word. Something that is superb is outstanding or above all. just like pride. All right, I've got some pictures on this next one to explain it a little bit. The word is tella, and it means a loom. I don't have a derivative for you on this one. They exist, but again, they are like textiles, that idea of being something that's really hyper specific. So it's okay if we don't have any derivatives for this one. But I do want you to know what a loom is. This is what Minerva and Arachne are both working on. We can see different people here on different sized looms. It's how they're going to make the tapestries that they are weaving in our story, but also how they would make most things of cloth in the ancient world. Your clothes would be made on a loom. Your carpets would be made on a loom. Your blankets for your bed would be made on a loom. So the way that this works is that you have these strings, as you can see in these various pictures, and they can be really complex or not complex at all, depending on the quality of the product. But you're going to weave your fabric, typically wool, strands of wool in and out and in and out and in and out across all these lines. And depending on the colors that you choose and the patterns that you go in, you can make something really complex. And that's what Minerva and Arachne are working on, the loom. Okay. Number 9, affermare, A-R-E. That A-R-E tells me this is a verb, and it means to affirm. Some words to help you remember what affirm means in this context. The affirmative is something, if you're someone who likes to play some of those first-person shooter games, right? You probably have heard Army guys say affirmative as a way of saying yes. It is a declaration that something is correct or true, or that you agree with it. That's when you affirm something. Also, you can have an affirmation, which is maybe in the morning when you wake up, you look in the mirror and you say, today is going to be a good day. That's an affirmation. You're telling yourself something to make it true. All right, ambulare. We're going to have a few words on this list that we've had on old lists, but it's always good to review. And hey, extra bonus. If you already know them, that's great. Ambulare means to walk. And the derivative for this one, you might remember, is ambulance. Ambulance. The original meaning of an ambulance is like a walking hospital, because in early wars, people would be hurt on the battlefield, and someone would have to bring a stretcher or bring the first aid kit, and so they were called the ambulance, the walking hospital, the walker. All right, certare, certare, another verb. This one means to struggle or to compete with. And our derivative for this one is the word concert. Now, that might not make total sense when you think about, hey, I've been to a concert. Doesn't seem like a competition or a struggle. But really, at heart, this word means to bring things together that otherwise might not come together. So the idea, if you're listening to multiple instruments at the same time, for instance, people can't just play whatever they want to play and hope it sounds right. No, it has to be brought together so that they are no longer competing, but they're playing the same song and playing the same tempo. So that means to bring together what might be a struggle. Concert. All right, debere. This is also a word that we've had in the past. It means to owe or to ought to do something, must do something. And this idea of owing comes into our language. So words like debt, if you take out a bunch of money before you go to college or before you buy a car or something like that, you're going to have debt. You're going to have to ought to or owe something back, right? And your debit card is like a credit card, but it has funds that are available to you. All right, docere. Docere is also a word we've had in the past. It means to teach, to teach. And the person who is most taught gets the distinction of being a doctor, which literally in Latin means one who was taught. The doctor has the most learning. That's why we use that word doctor to not just mean someone who is at the top of the medical field, but also someone who is an English professor, for instance, someone who doesn't work in a hospital at all, but maybe learned a lot about physics. That's the most taught you can be, is to be a doctor. All right, essay. E-S-S-E. This is also an infinitive, and it means to be. It gives us words like is or are in Latin or in English, right? And the derivative I have for you is the word essential. Something that is essential is the very basis of what it is. Right. Habere is our next one. Habere. This word means to have or to hold. And in fact, the word have is really closely related to this. If you switched out the B for a V, you'd see it right there, havere. It kind of sounds like it. And some words that come from this are to exhibit. That means kind of like to give out, to have out. If you're going to exhibit something, you're going to show it off. A habit is a custom that you have, something you do every day. It's something that's yours. And to inhibit actually means to hold back. So to hold it in. You can see how these prefixes really change the meaning of the word. Right, number 16, monstrare. Monstrare. This word means to show, and the derivatives for this word are demonstrate, which that also means to show. When you demonstrate how to use a new piece of technology, you are showing someone how to do that. But also the word monster comes from this in kind of a weird way, actually. A monstrum is a bad omen. So the Romans were really, really superstitious. And if something went wrong in their lives, like kind of like if you break a mirror or you walk under a ladder. Those are superstitions that we have today. The Romans had a bunch of superstitions. They thought that a monstrum was a bad omen, something that showed you the way, showed you that you're going to have a bad day or a bad year. Um, and it's just interesting that comes into our language to mean a monster as we know it today. All right, 17, respondere. Respondere. And you can hear that word in there. It means to reply or to respond. And the derivative is straightforward, just respond. Great. Scribere. Scribere. This word means to write, and it comes into our language in a lot of different ways. Here are some quick ones I picked out. An inscription is something that's written on something. To describe is to, kind of, it doesn't have to necessarily be written, but it is to be about something, basically. A script. If you are going to be in a play or a TV show, you're going to get a script for that. And you're going to read what was written for you to say. A scribble. That one's pretty obvious. You're writing a scribble on a piece of paper. To write. Next one, simulare. Simulare. This word means to imitate or to copy. And the derivatives for this are words like similar. Something that's similar is something that's close to something else, a copy or an imitation, and to simulate, which is also just a synonym for the idea of to copy. Something that came to mind, I've heard lots of people talking about like simulations recently, both online and in real life. Simulations are copies of something. So if you ever hear somebody say as a joke, like, oh, we're all living in the Matrix, it's a simulation, it's saying it's a copy of real life. All right, temptare, temptare, another verb here. This means to try or to attempt, and that's in the actual derivative list as well. To attempt something is really a synonym for to try something, but also a temptation comes from this. A temptation is something that you want to try, something that's tempting you, making you want to try it. All right, 21, vocare. This word means to call or to summon, like to call someone into the room, to summon them. And some derivatives for this word are a voice. That's spelled differently because it comes to our language through French. French is a weirdly spelled language, just in general. And a lot of those Latin words that aren't spelled the same way got kind of filtered through another language over hundreds of years. And voice is one of them. But also your vocation. Your vocation is another way of saying your profession. But if you call something your vocation, you're saying you were called to it. So if someone is a doctor, maybe they had other perks involved with being a doctor. They wanted to live in a certain place or have a certain income, but they really, really, really wanted to help people. They feel like they have a calling. That's their vocation. It's not just something you do because of the external markers, but because you really have a deep drive to it, you feel like you're called to do it. That's a vocation. All right, number 22, eratus, errata. There are two forms here because this is an adjective. One is for the masculine, one is for the feminine. So we would say that a boy is eratus and a girl is errata. And it means angry. We've had this word in the past. Some words that come from this are irate, which in English just means the same thing. It means angry. And ire. Ire is a noun, but it is like that anger, that white hot anger that you might feel if you are indeed eratus. All right, this one's a nice, fun, long word. Periculosis and periculosa. Those words have a US and an A. Again, one's for masculine nouns, one's for feminine. And this word means dangerous. Periculosis, periculosa. And an English word that comes, again, filtered through the French on this one is perilous. Something that is perilous can bring you peril, which is another way of saying danger. Right, another adjective for you here. Stultus, stulta. Stultus, stulta. Again, one for boys, one for girls, one masculine, one feminine. This word means foolish or stupid. And a derivative for this is the word stultify, which means to make someone kind of seem foolish if you stultify someone. It can actually also be used to have this like kind of mind-numbing intent too if you stultify someone. So maybe some days, as we probably all are, um, bored at home, maybe you're some particular day you just decide you're going to just look at TikTok all day or something like that, and you can kind of feel like your brain's going soft after a while, and you're like, why did I do that? That's really stultifying. It makes you feel foolish or stupid to do something like that for a long time. Not speaking from experience or anything. Okay, temerarious and temeraria, another adjective combo here, one masculine, one feminine. This word means reckless or daring. Reckless or daring. So there's a good side and a bad side of this, right? If you're a daring person, then maybe you're really brave. Maybe you're really willing to take a chance. But if you're reckless, that's taking the chance a little bit too far. Maybe doing things that are kind of stupid. Even though they might be brave, they're also not smart. And temerity is a derivative for this, which really means kind of the same idea. That idea of being reckless or daring. All right, home stretch, guys. None of these final words have derivatives. We're just going to add the meaning. Etiam. Etiam means still or yet. Etiam. Iterum. Iterum. That means again. Melius quam. Melius quam. This two-word phrase is the equivalent in English of better than. Better than. And in fact, melius is the better and quam is the than. So better than. Number 29, everybody loves this word. Nemo. Nemo. This is so funny. We'll show you what it means first. It means no one. Um, and it's funny because people often, after learning this word, they realize that finding Nemo. Nemo is it's a name from a character in a novel originally, Captain Nemo. But this idea of Nemo meaning no one is well known, and it's kind of like a funny play on words. So finding Nemo is really like finding no one. All right, 30. Maya means my. Maya means my. That word's an adjective. Sua is also an adjective. And it can be used for a lot of different things. It can mean it's his, or it's hers, or it's its, or it's theirs. It just is a word that shows possession. And then our last one here, mihi, a word we've seen before, but still really good to repeat it. We see it all the time. It means to me or for me. To me or for me. All right. Well, I hope that you took this time and listened to me gab a little bit here so I could say the words out loud. It's always good to hear them. Please fill in this chart and submit it back to me so I can give you oodles of credit. It has been good to talk to you guys. I hope to see you and hear you soon.